I'd like to introduce our first speaker here today. I have the honor of introducing UDOT's Executive Director, Carlos Braceras. His career started in 1986, and last year he was appointed by Governor Herbert to be the Executive Director of UDOT after he had served 12 years as the Deputy Director of UDOT. I first became familiar with Carlos when I was a rotational engineer, and we were dealing with a slight problem. A mountain had come down on I-80, and we were meeting to try and figure out how to get I-80 open. And Carlos ran the meeting. In that meeting, I was very impressed, even as a young engineer, at how he ran the meeting, how he allowed everybody to have their input, and how he kept that meeting on track and going in the right direction. I saw his leadership ability firsthand then. He's a leader that's focused on building upon UDOT's reputation as a worldwide leader in transportation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to present Carlos Braceras.
Thanks, David. Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me in the back? All right. Well, I'm going to be your after-lunch entertainment, so I'm going to work off some of my lunch here. Just sit back and relax, and we're going to have a little journey here and as we talk about transportation. First of all, David, thank you so much for what you guys have done, the team of putting together this conference. You guys have done a great job. And just looking around here at the amount of people we have, I'm excited to get to meet some old friends and meet some new friends as well. So as we get going here today, I want to start off a little differently. I want to ask a rhetorical question. Those of you that don't know what rhetorical means is I really don't want an answer. I want you to think about it, though. I want us to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of transportation? Why do we need to get from point A to point B? What is the purpose that brings us all here together? And where are we going? Now, whether you work in transportation for the Department of Transportation or for one of our partners in the private sector, why do we invest so much time, money, and effort in our transportation system? It's more than just fixing roads. There's a purpose behind that. So let's think about this for a moment. I always like to look back in history. I think we can learn a lot from what has happened in the past. And so if you go back in time and you look at all the major civilizations in our time, in history, you'll find that they all had one thing in common: outstanding transportation systems. Whether it be via road, whether it be via caravan, whether it be by ship, such as the British Empire. Now, China and Rome stood out with their road transportation system. The word via comes from Latin, and it quite literally is the word that the Romans used to describe road, by way of. Now, the Roman Empire at its peak had over 248,000 miles of roadway, of which 50,000 miles were paved. Do you know how many roads we have in the state of Utah? Well, under the state system, we've got 6,000 centerline miles, and that represents about 30% of the total statewide mileage. So you can get an appreciation for the size of the system. Now, some people wonder why Rome was able to conquer most of the known world and be able to hold it together for hundreds of years. Some may say it was really their outstanding and ahead of its time military, but I would argue it was the ability for that military to be able to move about quickly and easily around their vast empire via their road system. Now, these Romans, they were good engineers. They had standards for their roads. They had things that would include the width of a road, the width of a trail system. They had drainage standards for how they needed to drain their roads. Lyle, they even had right-of-way acquisition laws. And I'm sure that those laws were as delicate as ours in trying to find that correct balance between being fair to the taxpayers with the taxpayers' money but being fair to the property owner as well. Very difficult balance. Now the term, all roads lead to Rome, really came from their milestone system, which by law they were required to mark every road in Rome with a marker every mile, or 1,000 paces. Now they started with with a piece of stone, and then it later became a concrete obelisks. And each one of these stones, you would always know how far away you were from the Roman Empire, from the Roman Forum. Sounds a little like Salt Lake City today, where our roads radiate from Temple Square, and we always can tell how far we are away from the center of town. Now, the original purpose of the Roman roads was built to move their military around. But the true benefit of that system was quickly realized when Rome became such a strong power. And I would assert that that power, their true power, was their economic power, because of the ability to move people, goods, and services. Think about it. They were trading all over the world. That transportation system allowed their economy to just completely flourish, and that was the fundamental strength of that civilization. Well, how different is the United States today from that? What was the original purpose of our transportation system? How did those roads and canals and railroads get built, and why? Now, the original effort we've all heard about was, let's get America out of the mud. And if you remember the big push, we were trying to make sure that we can get our farm products to market. And so we started paving roads. That was a big push behind paving. What about the interstate system, this massive system that we have today? Well, let's go back in time. In 1919, President Eisenhower, then Lieutenant Colonel Eisenhower, was given a task. And his task was to lead a contingent of 300 people in vehicles across the country to determine how well we could move the military and supplies around our country to help our military. Now, this was a pretty primitive road system we had at the time, and they averaged a brisk 6 miles per hour. They covered about 58 miles a day, and it took them 62 days to get from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. That doesn't sound like a very good road trip to me. Now imagine what that would be like today, if that was the state of our transportation. Think about the tourism industry. It would just clog up. Would you even consider taking the family to Disneyland? Would you even buy packages from the internet if you knew your packages would take you 2 months to be delivered? I don't believe so. The difficulty of this journey for President Eisenhower stuck with him. If you remember, he was the supreme commander in Europe during World War II. And what he noticed in World War II is the Germans had this thing called the Autobahn. Now, the Autobahn was a paved, very high standard road, and it allowed them to move their military around very quickly. These things stuck in President Eisenhower's mind. And in 1956, he was able to convince the Congress to pass the Federal Aid Highway Act, which was really the birth certificate for the interstate highway system. And today, we all have the responsibility to take care of that system, ensuring its connectivity to our transit systems, to our local road systems. And like Rome, while our interstate system was built to facilitate the movement of our military, the true benefits are being realized and have been realized over the last 50 years in what it's meant to our country. The ability for our country to become an economic powerhouse. Think of the hundreds of thousands of people every day that travel on the interstate system, going from everywhere, going to the hospital, going to the stores, going to a game. Think about the over 20,000 trucks a day that go through our ports of entry every day. They're carrying goods that we need here in Utah, that we produce in Utah, but they're also carrying goods that are needed by all of the citizens in this great country. So now, going back to my original question, what is the purpose of our transportation system? Everyone here is working in this area. And to UDOT employees, what is our purpose? Why do we exist? And where are we going? These are the types of questions that I asked myself over the last year here. And so what I originally did is I turned to our final four, our 4 strategic goals. And what I found in there were goals that help determine what we do as an agency. We preserve infrastructure, we optimize mobility, We have 0 fatalities, and we strengthen the economy. I saw our values that speak to how we relate to each other and what's important to us, what our culture is. And I saw emphasis areas and areas that we want to apply some extra focus. But I didn't see a true vision or a mission in there. Now, what is a vision statement? A vision for an organization acts as a true North Star. It provides that guiding light for an organization that tells you what you're trying to achieve, and it's always just over the horizon there. While a mission statement really fundamentally describes what the purpose is for that organization. Why do you exist? Now, some of you may say, so what? Why do we need vision and mission statements? Why is it important to us? We're doing just fine as we are, and we are. We are doing an outstanding job as transportation professionals. The state of Utah stands above every state in the country in how we're dealing with it. But let me put this to you. Michael Hyatt, he's a best-selling author, best-selling New York Times author, and he writes about best business practices. And what Michael Hyatt said was, vision and strategy are both important, but vision always comes first, always. If you have a clear vision, you will eventually attract the right strategy. If you don't have a clear vision, no strategy will save you. I think this is pretty important because as an organization, we want to be the type of organization where every single individual understands where we're going, and you come to work every day trying to figure out the best way to get there. You don't want to be working in an organization where you come in every day and you know you're going to be doing the same thing every day because they told me to do it. So I started asking some of our leadership, what is UDOT's vision? What is our mission? Do you folks know? Well, I heard back some great answers, a lot of them going back to the Final Four. I heard things like connecting communities or even going the extra mile. You guys remember those? Those are really good slogans, but they don't present a vision for an organization, that guiding North Star. So what do we do nowadays? When we have a question, what's the first thing we do? Get on the internet. You do a little internet search. You have to be careful what you filter out here, but it doesn't take much of a search to see that the internet is completely littered with what I consider to be really poor vision statements. We saw one global company that had a vision statement that was over 250 pages long. 250 words long, excuse me. It was one page. So if I'm under 250 pages, we're doing good, okay? Nobody could remember anything like that. And it's not an appropriate North Star for an organization. Now, Google, maybe it's because I use the Google search engine, their vision statement I thought was excellent. Very clear, very short, very concise. To build the perfect search engine. That is something that is just going to provide that vision for where we need to move in the future. It's constantly going to be out in front of you. You can always create something better than you could before. So we met as a leadership team. We got together, we started talking about these things. If you guys want to see something really funny, see a group of primarily engineers try to wordsmith vision statements. The English majors, the communication folks are rolling their heads in the back of their eyes. We wanted something that was simple, easy to remember, something that would be meaningful to our organization, but something that would also understand and address the challenge we face. We have a unique opportunity in the state of Utah. Some people look at our future growth in Utah as a problem. I look at it as a unique opportunity. Our increasing population is going to be what helps Utah stand apart. It's been over 160 years since statehood in the state of Utah. We stand at 3 million residents right now. In the next 35 years, we're going to add 2.5 million people to the state. Think about that for a minute. We're going to just about double the population of this state. And most of that is going to be contained here along the Wasatch Front, in this area that we all love. Now, some of us may not think of Utah as an urban area. I'm here to tell you we are one of the more urbanized areas in the country. And we're going to add another 2.5 million people primarily to this urban area. That's a pretty big challenge we have in front of us. And so our vision needed to understand this challenge, and it needed to provide us with a guiding North Star for how we're going to help address that. And it also needed to be something that would help work naturally into a mission statement. And so we came up with 5 or 6 options. They were all brilliant, by the way. And then somebody came up with this great idea, said, well, let's ask our employees what they think. And we're like, oh boy, I want to get this done by the conference. I don't know if we can get it done. But our communications team went out and they met with employees from around the state. These were short, quick meetings. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you that took the time to participate and to contribute. Your voices were heard, they made a difference. So thank you very much for doing that. Finally, we thought it would be important to maybe ask the people in the street, what do the public think? Are they thinking about this? And so let's just run a few video clips on what some of the public said.
I would say to help people get around the valley.
To keep roads functioning, traffic moving, making sure lights and roads and everything are functional.
Well, to build roads and get people from point A to point B as efficiently as possible.
I'd probably say it's all about keeping people moving.
That was pretty good right there. That was pretty close to what we wanted. And it was short, it was simple. So I'm pleased to announce today that UDOT's vision statement is keeping Utah moving. Now, this is important for us. If you think about the challenge we have, we need to keep Utah moving. And this is everything we do. This is people and goods. We need to keep Utah moving. So as our population grows, our demographics change. What's expected of us is going to continue to change. People are going to want to move around in different ways. But if we can keep Utah moving, Utah is going to continue to be the place that people want to live. Now, whether you're building new lanes on a highway, filling potholes, fixing guardrails, routing money from federal money to our local partners' airports, talking about Utah's transportation future and developing a long-range plan, taking calls from our stakeholders, anything that you find yourselves doing, it's all fundamentally for that goal, that vision of keeping Utah moving. But we're not done. That's only part of the puzzle that we need to put together here. And I wanted to shorten up our strategic goals. We have 4 strategic goals, and they have been excellent drivers for our organization. But when we add something, it's important to look at priorities and see if there's something you can take away. And so strengthening the economy was a goal that we added 3 years ago. And it's been really good for us as an organization. It's forced us to think differently. It's forced us to find a balance. But it didn't quite fit. It wasn't as measurable as the other goals that we've talked about. When you preserve infrastructure, we can kind of tell, if we make this investment, this is the type of IRI I expect to see. Or these are the fatality numbers reductions that we're going to see with this safety project. We didn't have that direct measurement of that effort. And so I felt that it was still so important that we needed to keep it. So strengthening Utah's economy is really critical to our fundamental purpose. And here I wanted to show you this. Fundamentally, the movement of people and goods is so related to our economy. If you take a look at history over time, and you look at vehicle miles traveled, that's a measure of movement, of mobility of our society, and you lay that on top of our gross domestic product, how well our economy is performing, you could see they lie on top of each other, right on top. That tells me very clearly that keeping people moving is critical to moving our economy forward. So to me, it seemed natural to move strengthening the economy up into a mission statement. It's one of the purposes by which we exist. But you've also heard us talk about this thing called quality of life. And really, what is that? What is quality of life? I could ask every single person in this room, and I'm going to get some different answers out there. But it's the essence of what it is, of what makes Utah so attractive. Our state is so unique. We are so proud of our state. But we have to think about what is quality of life. Take me, for example. I've made Utah my home for over 34 years. I moved here for one specific reason: the outstanding quality of the quality of life, the outdoor activities that Utah has to offer. Here we sit in a major urban area, and right next to us we have the best ski playground in the world. That's what brought me to Utah. But what kept me in Utah was the economy. The fact that I could find an affordable house for myself and my family. The fact that I could find a good job. Those are the things that are going to keep me here for the rest of my life. So with that being said, I'm pleased to announce to you our mission statement that works together with our vision. And that's innovating transportation solutions to strengthen Utah's economy and quality of life. So this mission statement defines what we do and why we exist. This is so important for us. This is the reason why we plan, design, construct, and maintain roads. This is the reason we build a transportation system. Now, words matter. You heard the word innovation. We innovate transportation solutions, innovation. The fact of the matter is, we will not be able to be successful tomorrow if we're doing things today the way we're doing them today. Today, we're successful doing things a certain way, but with the increased growth we're going to see, we're going to have to do things differently. Innovation is an important concept we need to keep in our minds. We have to be constantly finding ways to do things better. Never be afraid to fail, only be afraid to do the same thing the same way every time. Transportation solutions, that's a pretty all-encompassing term. When I talk about transportation solutions, that's everything from making sure we're designing and planning and building roads, to increasing transit ridership, to making our pedestrian system the safest system in the world so that families can go out for a walk or walk to the corner store and know that they're going to be safe, to making the bicycle system the best in the world as well. Transportation solutions. Now, I've talked about the economy and quality of life. So our two statements, a vision statement and mission statement, they go hand in hand. They definitely encompass what everyone in this room does, what every company that supports us does. They state where we're going, and they state why we're doing what we're doing. Now, you combine those with our strategic goals, which talk about how we accomplish our vision and mission, and we have a great roadmap for the future. Our values get to the culture of how we do our work, of how we treat each other, how we respect each other and we respect our customers. And our emphasis areas provide the needed details and focus for our innovative people to do those exceptional things that we need to do. I'm very excited that I believe that this is going to help provide us with that path forward to the future, to be outstanding, to continue to be outstanding in how we perform our duties. Now, I know this is a lot to keep track of, and just like the Final Four of years past, this will become part of our culture, and it will be part of how we've always felt we've done our jobs. But to help keep this in front of you at all times, I've asked our communication staff to hand out a little card, and they'll be handing it out today as you leave the room. And we've just called it UDOT's Roadmap, and it has the vision, mission, strategic goals, and the emphasis areas and values on the back. So it's a nice little cheat card. Now, secondly, you may not be a card-carrying type of person. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Maybe you're a little more high-tech, and you'd like to use something and have it with you at all times. Well, what is it that we have with us every day, all day long? Much to the concern of some of our spouses. Our phones, right? So we've created a mobile website. Now, this mobile website, you can get to it by going to UDOT's homepage, and you can download this thing, and you can put it right on your home screen of your phone, so it looks just like an app, and it'll have the information that we have on this card. But that's only the beginning. I picture this being a little bit of a gateway for UDOT. We're going to go in, next step is probably to build a directory of all of the UDOT employees, your phone numbers, and email addresses. I bet you're excited about that. So that the public knows who to contact and how to contact us. We're going to link our performance dashboards here. so that the public can see at any time how we're doing with the investment of their dollars. Who knows? Who knows what this will become in the future? Maybe we're gonna, if you're in construction, maybe you're gonna go here and download your construction specifications in the future. The future is an amazing thing. Now, I'm not gonna test any of you on any of this. Maybe not. Maybe I will. But I did want to start to get these tools into your hands as soon as possible. And the reason for that is it's so important that each and every one of us be thinking about where we're going, what our purpose is, and how we're getting there in everything that we do. You have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now leading us forward towards achieving our vision, mission, and our goals? And if not, let's have a discussion. Maybe we need to change some things. Our responsibility to the people of Utah and every business and person outside the state of Utah that uses our system, it's critical to them that our system operates well. Why? Because it's critical to our economy, and it's critical to the things that we hold important in our lives. The work we do or don't do impacts everybody. Now, if you think about this, you may feel sometimes people don't appreciate what you do. Your jobs are not necessarily the jobs that people are jumping up and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, when you did a great job. But rest assured, if a lane doesn't get plowed during a snowstorm, or a lane was closed on a construction job during rush hour, or maybe a bridge gets washed out, they know about us then, don't they? And they're aware of what goes on. So that's a hard part about your jobs. When you're successful, you're not noticed, and when you're not successful is when you get the attention. Now, while it's been almost a dozen years since the Olympics, I do want to bring forward this quote. It's been over a dozen years. That ran in Newsweek magazine. And there's two reasons I want to bring this forward. And the quote said, the people in charge of transportation must be the smartest people in the world because transportation just worked. Now, when you think about that statement, the reason transportation worked in the eyes of the media was because transportation wasn't an issue. It wasn't the story. In past Olympics, when transportation was the story, it was because it wasn't working. The other word I want you to notice in that quote that I think is important is worked. It didn't say happened, it said worked. That doesn't mean that good things just happen because of luck. They worked because of the work of people like you, every day taking care of those details so that the public doesn't even have to pay attention to what you're doing. And that's what they want. Honestly, they don't want to know what we're doing. They just want it to happen. Now, I'd like to just give you another quote here. Robin Chase, and she's a creator of the car sharing services like BuzzCar and Zipcar. And she said that transportation is the center of the world. It's the glue of our daily lives. The glue of our daily lives. When it goes well, we don't see it. When it goes wrong, it negatively colors our day, makes us feel angry, impotent, and curtails our possibilities. It's a pretty powerful statement about transportation from somebody in the private industry. But I think she's right on. So while our jobs can sometimes feel thankless, I'm here to tell you that our surveys show that 73% of the citizens of the state of Utah think you're doing an outstanding job. Now, some of you may say, well, that's a C or a C minus. In our business, that type of survey result is unbelievable. I would stack that up against any transportation department in the country, and we would come out ahead. And I'm here to tell you, the Governor Herbert, and our legislature appreciates the work that you do, the dedication that you put forward. So not only does our work impact everyone's quality of life and the things that we hold dear, but it also impacts safety as well. It saves lives. So I want to talk to you about one more change. In addition to moving and strengthening the economy up to our mission statement, I want to talk about moving 0 fatalities up to our #1 goal. And we're going to call it 0, and it's going to be 0 fatalities, 0 crashes, 0 injuries. How many people thought 0 fatalities was too aggressive? Good. 0 crashes, 0 injuries. This is a much broader safety umbrella, and this is going to start to encompass all of the activities that we do. Nothing that we do is more important than safety. Now, just a week ago, I spoke at a press event, and I've done this event many times. We've held it for 8 years now. We do it in partnership with the Department of Health. We call it the Teen Memoriam. It is by far and away the most difficult press event that I do, even more difficult than standing in front of you fine people. What this event is, it's a transition from people talking about numbers. So I'll talk about numbers. 8 years ago, we had 40 teens lose their lives on our roadways. In 2013, that number dropped to 18. Pretty outstanding, but it's nowhere near where we need to be. What happens at the Teen Memoriam is we have parents of children who have lost their lives come and speak. Now, these parents are doing this transition. They're going from the numbers to people, and they're taking these numbers and they're representing them as lives. They talk about their teen, what their life was, what it could have been, and why that crash occurred. What behavior could have been different that would have saved their teen's life? And they do it for one reason, and one reason only. They do it because they just hope and pray that they will save one life by getting the message out. It's just amazing. It's amazing to hear these parents speak. And every one of us should be thinking about the numbers in the same way. It's a person, it's a child, it's a mother, it's a father. So, as part of this effort, we're going to broaden our safety effort even more. In addition to focusing on the safety of others, we need to look inside at us, and we need to look at safety in our workplaces and what it means to every employee. So I'm pleased to announce that we're soon going to begin training everyone on a behavioral-based safety program for the department. Now, when I say all of us, this isn't just the maintenance and construction people that are out there in the field. This is everyone. These are our accountants that are paying the bills. These are the people that are sitting doing the long-range plan. This is every customer service employee that we have. This is every UDOT employee. And in fact, it's even more than that. It's every person that touches our projects, whether it be in design, planning, or construction. We're all going to become engaged. We're all going to become concerned and engaged in the goal of making sure that we have 0 injuries on the job. Nobody gets hurt at UDOT. It's a pretty aggressive goal. But I had a chance to attend a forum with some large construction companies about a month ago, and the entire focus was safety. I came away so impressed with the safety culture of our contractors, I was convinced that as an organization it was the right direction for us to go. You're going to hear about more of this coming up in the next couple months. You're all going to have opportunities for training and learning on how we can better learn to communicate amongst ourselves to enhance that quality of communication, all around that goal of nobody gets hurt when they're working here at the Department of Transportation. 0 injuries, 0 fatalities. It's a changing culture. You're going to notice the difference. You're going to feel the difference. You're going to become part of it. You're going to drive this because you're going to want to make sure that everyone that you work with is as safe as you want to be yourself. You're the greatest resource that we have. Why shouldn't we make sure that every one of you is safe and returns home that way? Now, I get asked a lot in light of the challenges that we have, in light of the tight budgets that we work within, how are we going to accomplish these vision and missions in light of the challenges that we have coming at us? How are we going to do this? The answer is literally right here in front of me. It's you, each and every one of you. And those that are not able to attend today, that are out there making sure the transportation system's working today. and it's our partners in the private sector. When I talk UDOT, I do it seamlessly talking about our partners, our contractors, our consultants, and our suppliers. We can't do it without everyone. This past year, I had a chance to sit down with Randy Rigby. Now, Randy Rigby is the president of the Utah Jazz. And the reason I set up the meeting is I wanted to ask Randy, what can we do as an organization to help your business? Well, it turns out we actually acquired property from President Rigby for the Legacy Parkway, and he said, can I buy the surplus property back? You sometimes have to be careful what you ask, I guess, and I imagine that's taking place. But really, out of the meeting came this discussion about what was important to the Jazz. And one of the impediments that the Jazz see is convincing people that they can come down to a Jazz game, they can find a place to park, and they can deal with getting in and out of the stadium safely. And so we said, well, maybe we should put his folks together with our Region 2 traffic folks and our Traffic Operations Center folks, put them together and see what happens. And so those meetings took place, and you kind of move on. You don't hear anything about it until we get this letter that was sent up to the governor's office. And he was just so pleased, he took the time to send this note to the governor. I'm going to read part of this to you. Hi, Gary. Probably the only time I get to call the governor Gary, so I'm going to enjoy that. I just wanted to send you a quick email and share with you how impressed I am with your team at UDOT. It was so refreshing to meet with a government entity that proactively wanted to better understand how they could help us be more successful as a business. We discussed ways that UDOT could better support us in managing our traffic needs around the Jazz games and other events. We also discussed the Zero Fatalities Initiative and ways that we can help drive awareness for this critical issue. Your people were problem solvers and wonderful representatives of government. That's a pretty nice letter to get. Thank you, Region 2 and the Traffic Operations Center. I was leaving the Jazz Stadium. I had a meeting down there Monday this day. And I'm walking out of the stadium, and what's right above this thing? Buckle up, Zero Fatalities. They have the signs right above their doors for their customers leaving after a game. Now, I've been hearing these types of sentiments over and over again from our partners at the Utah Transit Authority, who, by the way, shout out to UTA. They just won the best large transit system in the country. That's outstanding. And they claim UDOT was a big part of that because they could not have done it without the collaborative partnership with this department. About a month ago, I was down in Price at the Joint Highway Committee meeting. This is a representations of cities and counties around the state. And they program some federal money, make recommendations to the Transportation Commission. And over again, from counties and cities, I heard the same thing, how collaborative their interfaces were with the Department of Transportation. They love what you're doing and they appreciate the help. So this last year, I also heard from everybody that I needed to get out more, get out from that corner office and get out and meet with some of you. And I had a chance to move around the state and meet with you in small groups. Some of you put me to work, and I was spraying some graffiti down in 225 with Jake's folks, and they had me spraying weeds, and it was very interesting to be able to get out with the folks that are doing the work. And it wasn't to do the work, it was to have a chance to have you tell me what's going on, what's important to you, what I can do to help you. And it gave me a chance to maybe give you some answers as to why we're doing certain things. And so I want to keep doing this. I'll keep doing it. And when I do these types of things, I want you not to look at this as a burden, but hopefully you look at it as an opportunity. Now, you guys are doing such an amazing job. I hear it over and over again from people all across the country. And you guys would be shocked and blown away at how people in far reaches of this country know what you're doing. They're watching Utah, and they're always asking me, how did you guys do this? Or why are you doing it this way? Or can we learn from you on this? Utah is considered a leader in transportation, and it's because of you folks right now. You're accomplishing great things here. Now, while we've introduced some changes in our responsibilities, just like the Final Four of years past, this will become part of our culture. It will become part of the way we do our business. And so while you're doing about your work, I want you to know that your work is making a difference. Remember, the purpose, the reason we exist, is about quality of life and transportation. So there's some real things that are happening now, and you're part of the reason for it. Job growth in Utah is the second fastest in the country. Unemployment when Governor Herbert took office was 8.4%. It stands at 3.5% right now. We have the third lowest unemployment rate in the country. And most people will say, you know, the 3 to 4%, that's probably in the healthy range. We've been recognized time and time again as the best state to do business in by Forbes magazine. Why do you think it's good to be a good state to do business in? Companies will locate here. They'll generate jobs, and our kids can find good work so families can stay together. 4 of Utah's cities, and I would argue dozens more should be on this list, were ranked as the best places to live in the country. It's quality of life stuff. And finally, the national polling outfit, Gallup, found that Utah was the best state to live in, and they used 13 different metrics to make that determination. Metrics such as economy, workplace, community, and personal choice. You know, when I look at all these things, it says to me, those are talking about our economy and our quality of life. That's what makes Utah great. Now, I agree, Utah is the best place to live, and we are a large part of the reason for that. If in ancient Rome, all roads led to Rome, in Utah, our roads lead to economic prosperity. So, just in conclusion here, I want to just end here by letting you know how much I appreciate what each and every one of you do. You guys make a difference, and even though you don't hear it enough, you are being, people notice and they appreciate what you do. You truly are some of the best people in the world, and I can feel it in this room as I walk around this conference, how much fun it is to meet old friends and to meet new ones. And I love hearing every day about the wild and crazy things you guys are doing. You're amazing. And so I just ask you to keep on being innovative, keep on thinking about new ways to do things. Enjoy your time, enjoy your work, and enjoy the people you work with. It's so important that we enjoy that. And be innovative and have fun. Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you, Carlos. Just have a couple of housekeeping things that we need to take care of. We'll be going to our breakout sessions next. If you'll remember to turn your cell phones off so the ringers aren't going during those breakout sessions. The people that have prepared those presentations have spent a lot of time doing that, and it's just do our part to be polite and respectful of them. Also, if you have anything that you lose or you find something, if you'll give it to the registration desk, we'll use that as our last and found place. And then Carlos was talking about getting out and meeting people a little bit more. Carlos and Shane have in your agendas, if you'll look, they have a meet and greet several times throughout the conference. They'll be meeting just to the north of the registration desk there by the round table. So take that opportunity to go and say hi to them, and they're willing to answer questions that you may have. And then the last thing, I just want to remind you about the social tonight that'll be here. One of the things that we're trying a little bit different with the social is we'll have a Hold'em tournament. We've got room for 54 people. If you'll sign up out by the registration desk, we'll look forward to that. I hope you enjoy the breakout session in the conference. Thanks.